Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema. Hello to anybody who's watching us on the live stream on Facebook. Welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema. That's right, we're getting all fancy now. My name is Tosin and I am the host of the show. I am based up in a place called Bromsgrove in the West Midlands, just outside of Birmingham. And joining me as always on the Isle of Wight is Sharon Boland.
Hello.
And Sean Harris.
Hello there.
Yes. And what we do on this show is we go to the cinema each week and we watch whatever they've actually given us to watch. We rate everything we've seen out of 5. We stay at home and we watch a whole bunch of stuff on TV. If it's a TV series, we watch the whole TV series, watch the whole season, and then we rate that out of 5. And then we weigh them up against each other and see where money has been better spent this week. So this week, with that being the case, shall we go through what we have seen in the cinema and what it is that we're going to be bringing to the chopping block? So Sharon, you want to go first?
Yeah, this week I have seen A Man Called Otto. I want to say A Man Called Over, but that is the book. So it's A Man Called Otto.
That is the book and the original film of which this is based on. Oh, so but you think you saw something else that we're not going to review this week?
I've also seen I Want to Dance with Somebody, which is the Whitney Houston film biopic, but we're going to save that till next week to review.
We're going to save that till next week because we think that will probably still be in cinemas as opposed to what we're going to talk about this week.
Maybe Holly might see that one. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. And Sean, what have you seen in cinemas this week?
Okay, well, I saw Till, A Man Called Otto, and Empire of Light at the cinema. And I'm streaming. I've seen All Quiet on the Western Front, which we're going to save, and White Noise.
White Noise, which we should be talking about today because we had that on last week and we didn't talk about it last week. So it's time to talk about Adam Driver in the 80s. And I saw Empire of Light as well at the cinema, and I finished watching the first season of a show on Disney Plus that won a bunch of Emmys last year, which is Abbott Elementary. Abbott Elementary. So, cool. That's it. Shall we kick off? And let us start off with, I'm going to say, we're going to kick off with A Man Called Otto in cinema. We usually start off in cinema, that's at once. So, Sharon, can you tell us about A Man Called Otto?
A Man Called Otto is a film starring Tom Hanks as the titular character. And he is a man in his sort of, I wouldn't say he's elderly because he's not quite elderly yet, but he's the end of his middle age, as it were. He's coming towards that. He's an older man.
Yeah.
And you see, when you first meet him, he is finishing work, that he's retiring. So he's coming towards the end of his working life. He's retiring. And you see him planning his own death. He has decided that the day after he retires, he is going to end his life. And then as the film progresses, you see him plan how he meets his death, and also the reasons why he's come to that point. And with that realization of him coming to that point, you interact with him as he meets other people who are family that have sort of moved into his neighborhood next door, and you see through his interaction how life basically resurrects itself. It makes itself known. And how even though he may want to retreat from life and all that it involves, it won't let him go. And so life is not given up on him, even though in many ways he has given up on life. So we meet him in these different points of his life, and it's almost like it's his death and his resurrection.
Cool.
But you saw it as well, didn't you, Sean?
Yes, I saw it. Yeah. I thought another good sterling stalwart, whatever you call it, performance, and it's solid's the word. I think a good solid performance from Tom Hanks. This is a Tom Hanks vessel. It was quite funny because when I went in to watch Till, there were some ladies coming out, and I asked them what they'd seen, and they said, "Oh yeah, I saw this." They said, "Oh, we've just been to see that Tom Hanks film. Make sure you take some tissues with you." And I was like, "Right, okay."
Had you seen it at that point?
No, I hadn't seen it at that point. So, but I didn't take any tissues anyway but I do have to say that I did. This week I really enjoyed my viewing experiences, and I think it was the trailers. I think it was not so much the films, but just the experience. I mean, I went to see Till, and we'll talk about that anyway. We'll talk about Otto, but I'll tell you about that when we talk about Till. But anyway, yeah. So a good sterling performance from Tom, I thought. And was that his son, the young one, when they sort of flashback? Is that
I honestly don't know.
Is that his real son?
I'll have a quick look because I know Colin Hanks. Colin Hanks is his son, and Colin Hanks is a good actor.
Yeah, because I got a feeling I
don't think it was Colin Hanks playing his younger son, because I know him because he's been a lot of sort of teen stuff back in the day.
But I thought I didn't know he looked totally stunned all the time, which maybe would have been if it was for the relationship. But I just wondered if it was perhaps his son. I'm not sure, but anyway. Yeah. So there were some good characters in there. I wouldn't say it was like mind blowing from my point of view or like super duper or anything like that. But it was a good entertaining film. I mean, I didn't know that it was a book or that it was a remake, but obviously.
I think the original is Swedish, isn't it?
Yeah, Swedish, but the writer is he's written some extraordinary books over the years. I found him. I must admit, I'm glad I didn't watch it closer to when my own father died, because I would have found it quite devastating to watch. I don't think I would have coped with it at all had it been sort of 5 years ago, or I couldn't have watched it 10 years ago. But had it been even 5 years ago, I really would have struggled. So I did find it quite a hard watch in many ways, because grief is a wound that never heals. I understand. Did you? Quite a hard watch, but it was all done very, very well.
Yeah. Was you convinced by Tom Hanks being like the grumpy sourpuss, or with sort of or?
Yeah, well, you can see how some people do get embittered by life, and then they don't shut down their humanity, but they suppress it to the point of view that most people think they are one-dimensional. They're just,
I think what it sounds to me like Sharon is trying to say is he's Tom Hanks. He can't be grumpy. He's too nice. He's Mr. Nice Guy. Don't give me Mr. Nice Guy and tell me he's a grumpy sour.
He is a nice guy, isn't he?
He is. Yeah. In his heart, you can see it. And for me, I think he does that quite well. I think he does it as like, he really, really wants to be grumpy. Really, really wants to be grumpy, but can't. Do you know what I mean? He wants to be.
Genuinely horrible people would not be the ones who look after the street, to make sure the rubbish gets separated, and who make sure the gates get locked. Genuinely grumpy people are not very nice.
No.
And you can see that he still had a heart there.
Yeah.
Why would he help his neighbours? Why would he be the neighbourhood guy? He wouldn't be, would he? But why would he have cared for his wife all those years? So you can see that it's a shell, and it took this family that moved in to sort of crack that shell, and to see who he was underneath it. So it was quite a moving film.
So how many stars would we give A Man Called Otto?
You want me to go first? Or?
I would give it 4. I thought it was well acted, it was well presented, it was it sort of moved me in the right places, I think. I said, I would certainly give it a 4.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I would give it a solid 3. Because it's not really, there's not a lot original. For me, it wasn't. There's been similar sort of films before, but it was well acted, and I mean, perhaps you can call me hard-hearted Harry or something. I don't know, but no. And I could see there were a couple of times when I perhaps could have got emotional, but So for me, it's a solid 3, a really, really good solid 3, nearly a 4, but a solid 3 for me.
I'm just laughing about the fact that you just said it's not really original about a remake. So
yeah. Sorry. What I mean is we've seen it before with other.
I know. I know exactly what you mean. I just thought it was a funny turn of phrase. All right, cool. So that's A Man Called Otto, and now we go on to Netflix and Friends, and we are going to talk about White Noise.
White
Noise. This is another film based on a book, and it is a film that I've heard quite a bit about, and because I think this has Adam Driver and Greta Gerwig in it, directed by Noah Baumbach, and Shaun, I know you are quite an Adam Driver fan. You quite like some of his stuff.
Films. Yeah.
So I know that you will watch it and you say, "Oh, what's he doing now?" But from what I heard, this is a film that you need to have your wits about you before you watch. So
Indeed,
tell us,
yes.
tell us about White Noise.
Okay, White Noise is basically like a family drama about, you know, the family dealing with all the problems that a family deals with. It's like a third marriage, and so you've got 3 children or they've got one the same, and then one child each. So they've obviously got the problems of what a family like that would have. And he's a teacher, and he's at a school, and he's he knows a lot about the Second World War and all this stuff, and all the teachers. So and then this accident happens. There's this train crash, and this toxic cloud comes up. So, and it's all like, everybody starts panicking. You've got to leave town. There's the car. Oh, we're making a mistake. There's too many cars trying to get on the road. There's this, that, and the other. Adam Driver's pretty deadpan most of the time, you know, and although like he's,
I could have bet good money for that.
Yeah. So that's the story, and then it's they're dealing with all the family things. You know, oh, I've forgotten my teddy bear. Oh, I've forgotten. You know, we've got to sleep in the.
Yeah.
So this film, it's bizarre. Normally, I like strange films. I like the odd quirky sort of thing. And for about the first hour of the film, it's really good. I really got quite I thought, oh, this is good. And then it just went. This is like about 3 films in one, and then it just went totally bizarre and like a revenge flick to do. And even for me, that likes all that weird stuff, I'm like, oh, come on. So for me, this is a film of 2 halves. It's like the first half I really enjoyed, and then I was thinking, what the hell is happening here? What's going on? It's like a mishmash of like 3 or 4 movies all going. So is it revenge flick? Is it? And I've got to be honest, after a while it got on my nerves a little bit. So the first half I thought, well, this is good. This is something you watch. And then, as I say, it just went into like, oh, he finds out his wife's been taking these drugs and seeing some sort of guru, and he's going to kill the guru, but he ends up taking the drugs and blah, blah, blah. And it's all like pretty bizarre stuff, which generally I like, but I just found it like, what is this? You know, I mean, normally with weird stuff, there is something to it, but to this, there was like nothing to it.
Was it a bit too arty? Perhaps?
I wouldn't even say it was arty. It just didn't know where it wanted to go or what it wanted to be, or, you know, there wasn't really any art to do with it.
The thing is, because I've heard a lot about this book, and this book that it's based on by, I think, is an author called Don DeLeo. It's like, apparently, it's one of these books that people have said is one of the great unfilmable novels, because apparently the book is like that and does go all over the place and all that. So, and I've heard a lot about this film that it's kind of like, oh, it goes this.
Yeah.
And what you said about, there's about 3 different films in there. I've heard that as well about it and all that. So, and that's why I feel like it's like you have to be almost in an experimental frame of mind to watch it.
Yes, yeah.
And that's part of the reason I haven't watched it, because I've been more like, I want a narrative, all right. I want a beginning, I want a middle, and I want an end. I don't want. No. I've been in that kind of mood, so I've been like, okay, White Noise, I need to be in the right frame of mind, because if not, I'm just gonna think this is a waste of my time.
Yeah, waste. So, yeah. You would, I think. I think you would, Toes, and I think you would, Sharon, as well. I think you think, my God, what is this?
Okay, so how many stars would you give White Noise?
Purely on the fact that I really enjoyed the first hour.
Yep.
I'll give this a 3. So, but the second half of the film was sort of all over the place and all pretty weird, but just for trying, I'll give it a 3 for giving it a good go. And
from what I've heard, and I think obviously the director is the kind of person who is not going to be he's not going to give you nonsense. He's going to have a good go at things.
Yes.
Right, so that is 3 stars for White Noise. And I would like to answer the first bit of feedback that we've received on our live show. Yes, superfan Nina Remtula, we are bloody live. Hi, Nina. She just sent me a message. That literally says, "You're bloody live." You guys, I can't believe I'm watching you live. Yes, we are live, Nina, for your enjoyment. All right, cool. So now we're gonna go back to Netflix and stuff, and we're going back to cinema. Sorry, going back to cinema, and we're gonna talk about Empire of Light. Now, Shaun and I, if it's in cinema this week, just assume that Shaun has seen it. So Shaun and I have seen this one, and Empire of Light. So this is Sam Mendes. It's Sam Mendes. and it is excuse me, stop my timer on myself. So yeah, Sam Mendes, and it is him. This is the next film he's done after 1917. And I feel like this is him sort of changing tact a bit. So obviously everybody knew about 1917, One Take Wonder, all that kind of stuff. And this is Sam Mendes doing the personal film that you're watching this and you have a feeling that this might be based a little bit in his childhood. And the whole thing about it is that there's this cinema somewhere in Sussex. They say it's Sussex. They mention a place called Lie, which is where Paul McCartney is supposed to live. So it's somewhere on the Sussex coast. So this is a cinema right on the seafront.
I think it's the Kent coast.
The Kent coast.
Yeah, Kent. I think it's. I mean, it's filmed in Margate, I'm sure. Because
I think it's filmed in Kent, and I know that they have Hastings and stuff like that on the bus when you see it.
Yes, yeah.
But at one point they mentioned Sussex in the film. Yeah. But anyway, it is somewhere. Oh dear. Nina just sent a message saying that she's going to see Empire of Light at 7:30 tonight. She might want to stop watching, but and it's set at this cinema called the Empire. The Empire. You meet Olivia Colman's character, who's called Hilary, and she works in this cinema, and it's an old school cinema, and it's a cinema that even the layout of the cinema reminds me a little bit of the cinema in Ryde on the Isle of Wight. What's it called?
The Commodore.
Commodore.
The Commodore, yeah. The layout of it reminds me a bit of the Commodore on the Isle of Wight. And we just lost a viewer because I said that we're going to talk about this film. But anyway, there's things like it has. The cinema has seen better days because some people are not watching films in cinema anymore. It's the 80s, so there's 2 screens in the cinema that are shut off. There's only 2 screens that are working. I have Toby Jones, who is like the projectionist, and you have Colin Firth, who is the manager of the cinema, and you find out a little bit about her life, that there was stuff that was going on in her past that meant that she's actually on some medication right now. And then this new guy, played by Michael Ward, who is a black guy in the 80s in Margate, who shows up at the cinema and he starts working there, and then something starts off between him and her, and she's having a thing with Colin Firth. And so this film just sort of goes, and I'm not sure what this film is being. I'm not sure whether it's like a slice of life thing, but there's a bit where it seems to be a mental health movie, and then it switches to whether it's going to be a race movie, then it switches to whether it's going to be a film about the magic of cinema, and it has all these sequences in there where it sort of touches on, ooh, magic of cinema, ooh, I'm going to watch a film, and there's bits where it looks like, oh, this is going to try and be Cinema Paradiso, but English, and then there's bits where it goes, oh no, we're going to talk about mental health and how people didn't recognize mental health, especially for women in the 80s, and then, and now here we have a whole bunch of skinheads who are going to walk around the thing and they're going to make it, and this guy's going to, and you're just kind of like, okay, pick a film. It's like, pick a film, because there's some films that try and tackle a lot and bring everything together, and it coalesces, and it comes into this one and you're like, oh wow, okay, yeah, good. But this film ends, and let me put it this way, when the film ends, I'm not sure who the main character is. Because it feels as if like you're starting off and that's supposed to be the main character, and then the film ends and then it's like, wait, now we're following that story? What's going on? What are we doing here? What are you trying to do with this film? And I ended up left with the feeling that this was like a Sunday afternoon ITV movie with a lot of money thrown at it. So you had like, Class A actors, you had great production values, and the thing looked brilliant. But essentially, it's like a Sunday afternoon watching the background thing where, that. Yeah. Anyway, Sean, I don't know what you thought.
No, yeah, similar along those lines. I mean, I was hoping it would be more cinema, more to do with the cinema.
You're hoping it will be more like Cinema Paradiso, because I know that's where we live. We're cinephiles. That's where we live. Yeah.
I mean, because from the trailer, it gives you that. The trailer gave me that thought that, oh, this is going to be, especially because they show more of the Toby Jones bit with the looking at the films and the projectors and all that, and I'm like, because that bit I love.
I'm going through the technicality of how you change the reels from one reel to another. I was watching those scenes, and those scenes when he's in the projection booth, I was thinking about you and Butch.
Yeah, me and Butch. I
was thinking about you.
So was I.
Sean has a friend, Butch, who was the projectionist in the cinema in Bournemouth, and used to throw the key down to Sean so that Sean would come join him up in the projection booth, and Sean used to watch a whole bunch of films for free. And we interviewed Butch on the show during lockdown. And I just remember thinking, that when I was watching, I was like, oh, Sean's gonna love this bit.
Oh,
Sean's gonna love this bit because it's gonna be like him and Butch. But anyway, carry on. Rest of the film.
So yeah, so I very much agree with you. It was very much. I think it was more of a mental health film than anything else. That's what came out of it. But I do have to say that Olivia Colman acting was. I mean, for me personally, I was especially the drinking bit, especially the drunk bit. To me, was spot on. That is how because I mean, I've known a few. I've never been, but I've known a few sort of alcoholic-y type people. Yeah, and they can turn really nasty and be really, really horrible. And I thought that scene was particularly. I really enjoyed that scene. You know the one I mean. You know.
Yeah. I know the one.
I thought that was. Yeah. I thought. Yep. I can see how that could happen. So yeah, I thought she was absolutely brilliant. I mean, some people don't like Olivia Colman, I know, but she gave me. I mean, I believed. I thought it was a fantastic performance by her. I really do. It was a class performance.
Yeah. So is that a bit like some people don't like Stanley Tucci? I don't understand it.
No, I know. Yeah. But what's you know the scene where there's like a scene where in the back there's a roller coaster. It's like a fun fair scene.
Yeah.
You know that bit. I enjoyed that scene. I thought that scene was good. That's what makes me think of where it was and that. So yeah, and I loved the cinema. I thought the cinema was absolutely beautiful. What a beautiful cinema. I mean,
it's almost as if you could rate the different films. You could rate the mental health movie. You could rate the love of cinema movie, and you could rate the race movie, the problems of being black in the 80s.
Black in the 80s, yeah.
Movie. All there. But they're like three different things that don't really gel properly together.
It's a good soundtrack.
No, well, the thing is that there's loads of things that I was like, Sean is gonna love this. I was like, I don't even know what song that is that's playing, but it's the 80s, and I'm pretty sure Sean is gonna get this. There was a bit where they have this sort of parade of motorbikes and everything, and I thought it was gonna become all a bit like mods or something like that. It was gonna be like Brighton Rock or anything like. But then no, it turns into a massive skinhead rally, and so there's bits about it like Michael Ward shows up at the beginning, and I don't think his character has much to do.
No, I agree.
I don't think his character has much to do. His character is just there to sort of like support Olivia Colman's story, and there is this romance that develops between Olivia Colman and Michael Ward, and I'm just kind of like, and it comes out of nowhere.
It does.
It comes out of nowhere. I don't find it believable. There's like. There is. I just don't understand. Where is this coming from?
Yeah, I don't think it would have happened. I don't think that would have happened. To me, it wouldn't. Yeah, but anyway.
The thing is, I mean, my problem was that it wasn't believable. It's like, because if you talk about May-December romances,
yes.
I can handle a May-December romance. I mean, it made me think about a film in which that kind of thing was done brilliantly. Film stars don't die in Liverpool. That was true. Film stars we had Annette Bening and Jamie Bell, and that they nailed that. You believed that romance all the way through. This one, you were like, "What the hell's going on? Why?"
Yeah, that's right. It was I mean, she was really bad, and I also don't think Colin Firth was particularly good in this.
He's another one who didn't have much to do.
Yeah, he didn't have much to do, but he wasn't particularly, it certainly wasn't Mr. Darcy, Sharon, I'm afraid to say.
No.
In fact, he looked like he was getting on a bit, wasn't he?
Oh, he very much was not Mr. Darcy. He has one particular line. One of his first lines in the film is very much not Mr. Darcy.
Yeah,
and I will leave that there. But anyway, so if it comes to stars, given this stars, I think I would give it a 3. I mean, because I think it's watchable, but as I said, it's too disjointed for me.
Yes.
Some of the things that are supposed to be key to the whole central premise of this film, I didn't find believable, and I just didn't get what I feel like if it had picked one of those things, and if it decided we're going all in on the power, on the brilliance of cinema, yes. If it had gone all in on the mental health story, yes. If it had gone all in on the race story, I don't think Sam Mendes is the right person to be telling that story. No. So I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that bit. But when there's a scene where they try and bring together the sort of mental health thing and the power of cinema thing, and I was just watching it going, why would you do that?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So I'll give it a 3.
Yeah, I'm with you much of the way on that. I mean, there was enough in there to call it nostalgia, call it what you want. There was enough in there to sort of keep me watching. You know, it wasn't like I wasn't like huffed puffed or anything like that. So, and I thought Olivia Colman's some of her performance was absolutely first class. Absolutely, that one scene. And I liked the cinema bit when they went in the cinema. So they saved that to the end, didn't they? All towards the end. So that just in case you didn't like the rest of it, you think, oh, well, I like it. So I give this a 3 stars.
Yeah, but that's a bit where it tries to go for a cinema paradiso type stuff, and I don't feel it's earned it.
No,
I don't
agree,
feel like
I
don't feel it's earned it by that point. Like Cinema Paradiso, there's that whole sequence at the end of the film, and by the time they get there, the film has earned it. It has done its dues. It has done everything to make you believe that scene. This, I don't feel does that. No. So yeah, 3 stars for that. And now we go back to Netflix and Friends and stuff we viewed at home. And Sharon, you saw something called Winter Walks, which you tried to talk yourself out of reviewing because you said it's not the kind of thing we usually do. So I'm actually quite intrigued to figure out what this is. So go ahead, Winter Walks.
Yeah, Winter Walks is something that you can only find on either iPlayer or BBC4, which is, I think, a digital channel now on BBC Two. Yep. Winter Walks is what is called slow TV. And the Winter Walks are half-an-hour episodes, and normally it's a famous person, though sometimes I don't always know who they are. But it's a famous person. They basically go for a walk. And they have a 360 camera with them, and they walk on their own. And then they have a drone that follows them as well. And so they plot a route around like a well-known beauty spot. So this last series has all been around Yorkshire. So you get the Yorkshire coast, you get the Dales, you get the moors, you get different parts of Yorkshire. Basically, they sort of start saying, hello, we're just going to go on a walk. And that you see on the map a route. And it's no music, there's no accompaniment. It's just bird song and the sounds that you would hear on a walk. And as they go by, they talk about what the weather conditions are. These things come up on the screen, like, the weather's like 90% rain, or they're sort of like the elevation, how far above sea level they are, what the temperature is outside. And they're basically just walking along, talking to the camera, sharing their thoughts, letting their thoughts drift and wander as they walk along, admiring the scenery. Sometimes they pause and they'll recite a poem. They'll just sit and say, okay, this is a poem that really sits, fits this area, or just fits my mood at the moment. And so they sit and they sort of read a poem, and then you just sit with them, and you listen to the bird song. You let this sort of the words wash over you, and then they just walk around this route. And most of the walks tend to be about 7 or 8 miles long, or by some of them, the shortest about 4, and the longest I've seen is 15. But most of the average ones like 5, 6, 7 miles long, and so it's quite a varied landscape. And you basically just get immersed in this slow. You can slow everything down. The pace of life slows down to just like how fast you can walk. And some of the people, when they're walking, Baroness Varsite was saying on her walk, she's so used to walking in cities that she has to go from one place to another, that she power walks everywhere. And she says, I have to consciously make myself slow down. And I think this sort of program, where we have sort of quite busy lives, where it's sort of slow TV, it consciously has to make you slow down just to sort of be in that moment with them when they're walking along. Alistair Campbell was very good. He was talking about how his struggles with mental health and how he has found like refuge in nature. Having been in the world of politics for so long, and having been, again, this sort of constant activity, spending like a day just going for a walk. And they film it where they stop, and sometimes when they're walking along, they meet people, and then the names of the people will come up on the screen, and they'll have a chat, and they'll also say, this is the owner of this farm, and they're their 5th generation farm, and they've lived on this, the family have lived in this generation for hundreds of years. And it's a different way of basically spending half an hour of just letting the world slow down to the pace of a gentle walk through the countryside. And it's just the most sort of therapeutic, calming thing you could possibly watch on the television.
Well,
I'm just going to say, they do a similar thing on the radio. They do like on like I listen to Radio 4 now. I guess I'm of an age, but they quite often do. They quite often have like a generally like about when there's 15 minutes, like it's just a little walk, and they say, "Oh, we're going through this style, and we're going to." And yeah, I can understand what Sharon's saying when she says it can be quite therapeutic,
There's actually one that I remember trying to find a podcast once, and I ended up finding this podcast of Claire Balding going for a walk on the Isle of Wight on Tennyson Down.
Wow.
Yeah, and it sounds like it was the precursor to this, only on the radio where it was cheaper to make.
Yes.
So and didn't have all the. Yeah.
They do summer walks as well, but obviously in the summer, but in the winter time, they do have these winter walks. So often it's rainy, it's blowing a gale, and they're just trumping along. But there's something about, I think, it's the closest thing to television as you could get to going for a walk. Going for a walk yourself. On the island, we've got beaches, we've got downs, we've got cliffs, we've got, there's woodlands, we've got all sorts of walks that you can go on. And so part of you's thinking like, I'm going to put my boots on, I'm going to go for a walk. And it's just that you get that feeling of just like slowing the world down for half an hour to just, listen to bird song.
Yep.
It's sounds of the waves, but it's a seaside one.
Oh, right. Okay, so cool. So obviously you enjoyed this. This sounds like it's right up your alley. And then I think BBC Four, they're the kind of people who I think they only ever want to try and make quality stuff. I think that's the thing. I think the idea is with BBC Four, you should never watch anything on BBC Four and go, "Oh, that was a bit rubbish, wasn't it?"
You'd never see like the Foxy Girls of the West Coast or anything like that.
The Real Housewives of the Yorkshire Dales. There's a crossover.
That's something that might come out.
There's a crossover. The Real Housewife of the Yorkshire Dales go for a walk. Oh my god, it's gonna happen. They're gonna have somebody for one of those. You're talking about all these celebrities you don't recognize. One of them is gonna be somebody for one of those shows very soon. But anyway, how many stars would you give this?
Well, it's hard to judge because to me it's almost like the perfect half an hour of television. So I would give it a 5.
Cool.
To me, it's like half an hour perfection.
All right.
And poetry. I love a bit of poetry, so it's like perfect.
So okay. Is there any celebrity you did not know well before this that you're now like, oh, I would go check out some more of what they've done?
There was one guy. I think his name is Nihil, and he's a DJ. And
Nihal Athanaike.
That's the guy.
He's on Radio 5. He's on Radio 5 Live. Yeah.
About him, but he had a really good walk, and I thought, oh yeah, it would be interesting to hear a bit more what he had to say because it's quite thoughtful.
All right, cool, good stuff. All right, good. So that's Winter Walks, and Nina, who is instead of writing stuff on Facebook and commenting on the actual thing, is just sending me WhatsApp messages as we are recording. She says this walks program sounds great. So this is great. We're getting live feedback on our reviews. It's kind of like we're like 5 stars, and someone goes, "What? No, there was 1." But, all right, so now
it's the most boring thing I've ever seen. I fell asleep.
Okay, imagine someone is like, "What are you talking about? Watching it right now? It's a load of tosh."
It's slow TV. It's slow TV.
Okay, right, and now we go back to cinemas. And Shaun, you saw Till.
Yes.
Till. Now, this is a film that because we were talking about emancipation last week,
yes.
And I think this is a film that, from what I've heard, has done something that I suggested that I would do if I was making a film like Emancipation. It seems to have done something like, but also it's also one of these films that it doesn't seem to be everywhere, which makes me think that the Isle of Wight might be a more arty cinema than I give it credit for, because I can't find it around me anywhere, but you saw it on the Isle of Wight.
I saw it on the Isle of Wight, yes. I saw this on Monday, yeah.
Okay, cool. So tell us about Till, because this sounds like it's right up my alley.
Okay, so this is the story of an incident that happened. There was a family, a young lad, 14-year-old lad called Emmett Till, that had some cousins down in Mississippi, and he was going to go down there for a bit of a holiday down to Mississippi, and all the way through, his mother is like, really, you can see the angst and the anxiety. She's saying, you be careful down there, you have to talk to these people differently. She gives him the whole speech, you must
because this is set during when, the 60s or
60s, yeah. So and it's like she says you've still got to be really, really careful down there, and apologise even if you're in the wrong. You've got to apologise. Don't stare at people. Don't look that. Because obviously living in the north in Chicago, and she plays that again, like we're going about acting, like I was saying about Olivia Colman. Now, she's fantastic. I'm not sure.
Danielle Delwire.
Has she been in anything else that
the Harder They Fall?
All right. Okay.
Yeah, she. Do you remember The Harder They Fall, the Black Cowboy film?
Yeah.
She played Coffee.
Ah, right. Okay.
She looks totally different. Different. So it's not a big deal that you didn't recognize her.
She was brilliant to show that sheer fear really about sending him down there, which is understandable. And you're almost starting to feel the fear as well and thinking, don't go, obviously, because something else is going to happen because of the thing, and you're going, don't go. But he goes down with his cousins and stuff, and obviously there's something that happens while he's down there that obviously he should
ends up with him getting killed.
He ends up
getting lynched.
Yeah, he ends up lynched. Yeah. So his mother decides that she's going to go down there, and they're like, no, don't go down there and all that. And then you get the all the different. That's not the NCP. That's car parks, and is it the NCP? Is it?
I think it's the NAACP.
NAACP. Yeah.
The NAACP. Yeah.
So they get involved, and they're like saying this, you can make this. This is big publicity. We can. And she's go, I'm only interested in my son. Just my son. I don't want to get involved in any of that stuff.
Yeah, she doesn't want to become politicized.
She doesn't want. She want to politicize it anyway. She goes. She gets the son's body shipped back, and then she says, and it's in pretty bad state. And she says, right, I want this. I want photographs of this. I want this shown. I want people to be made aware. And so there's this court case. There's a court case, and obviously she knows. She walks out towards the end because she knows what the verdict's going to be already, and then. So then she joins the NCAAP to promote it more and more and more. So that's basically the story. Okay, now my thoughts on it were, she's brilliant. Really, really, really the first bit. But I think there was a little bit too much of it. And I found myself because there's a scene when she views the body and there's a lot of grief. And I can understand all that. And the people of grief. And obviously there's the family meetings and people saying sorry and all stuff like that. But I just found that brilliant acting, but can we have some sort of, a little bit more action than, there's a lot of sitting around and weeping and wailing and crying and the family's coming round and it's very much like that. And there's not a lot of time spent on the court case. Again, this was a little bit too long for me. I think this was a little bit too long. I think they could have hurried it up a little bit more, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
brilliant acting. I'm not going to knock it. The acting was first class.
Yeah,
and there was one scene particularly where she goes down and she's talking to the family that her son stayed with, and saying, "Oh, why didn't you do more? I've seen you got a shotgun on your more." And that he goes, "Well, he goes, I got my family to think of and all that." So there's a bit of conflict there, and very forgiving. But yeah, it's just a little bit too long for me. A little bit too much spent on the grief. It was like hours of grief. So, and it's like, okay, yes, you can act. It's brilliant. But can we just move on with this rather than just seeing wailing?
Yeah.
So on the whole, yeah. I thought it was pretty good. I think you might enjoy it. It's one of the few films where I think, like, I've watched a lot of these revisionist things. I guess I was hoping it to be a little bit more like. Perhaps Mississippi Burning, perhaps a little bit like that, but it was more to do with the politics and the grief. A good story, and it's good that it's been recognised after all these years.
Yeah, well, the thing with this film is that the way this film is being told, and what I can hear about the way this film is being told, it's right up my, because I was talking about emancipation and how I am so overseeing brutalization of black people on screen. I think if you tell me that this is a film that's all like, oh yeah, almost luxuriates and spends loads of time watching black people getting beaten up, it's enough for me to not watch the film at the moment. Yeah. And I hear that for one of the key things I hear about this film is that they don't actually show. They don't show the lynching, it's all about the effects of what happens after that. And that's pretty much what I was preaching last week. Is what I was saying last week, that show the effects, show what happens, show what is left. Yeah. Show what it mentally does to the people who are left behind.
Yes.
And I like that. I like that approach. And I can understand that something like this, there will probably be a little bit of melodrama, which is what you're talking about. But it's something that I think I will still see when I finally get the chance, yes. When a cinema somewhere near me shows it. Or shows it on TV, inevitably.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I think you're right. With scenes like that, I mean, I thought that particular bit was really, really well done, because it's just a case of some not very nice. And also, apparently, there were some workers involved with so you sort of see some workers actually doing the thing, but you never actually really see the actual you hear things and you hear shots and beatings and screams, but you don't actually see any of that, and that's very short, and that's good, because I mean, I often think what I find is in some movies, and it's going off a little bit, but like they have a sex scene, do you know what I mean, or like they could go, and it goes on for like, okay, you get it on. We know. Why do you have to prolong this? I didn't come here for a 10-minute, a 10-minute raunchy scene. When yes, okay, you've done it. We know. Okay, let's move on. Can we? Please? There's that type of thing. So I agree totally with what you're saying.
But I've always thought that sexy. Yeah. And I think it's because there's a very fine line where you go between, we need to show you this, until, oh, look how cool this is. There's a very fine line between it, and I think it's a similar thing. I've been wondering where I can talk about this, but I finally saw Good Luck to You, Leo Grand.
Oh right.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I finally saw it because I couldn't find it in any cinema near me while it was in cinemas, and I've been waiting for it to come on a streaming service that's free. So it's now on Amazon Prime. So I finally saw it this week with my wife, and it's and when you talk about sex scenes, and you talk about sex scenes and like going on for ages and like, why are we watching this? Now that is a film that does it brilliantly. That is a film that does it. That like everything that's enough for me, like, okay, that is there for a reason. That's actually quite true, and it isn't just sort of like gratuitous or anything like that. But I really like that film. That film is I really wanted to watch it, and I was not disappointed. But anyway, we'll move on because we have other things to talk about.
Yeah. Do you want my star rating?
Yes. I didn't get your star rating. Let's get a star rating.
Okay. This would have been a 4 but it was just a little bit too long, and I found myself wanting it to hurry up a bit. So this will be a solid 3 again. This will be a solid 3 for me.
Cool. No, but I think Daniel Deadwyler is in talks for acting awards and stuff like that, which I am all for.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
And I just realized. It seems like we've done it. Like we started off with the films made up in the 80s to begin with, and the first two films and the last two films to talk about are films starring black women, or even I think created possibly by black people. This is the black section. So this is a show on Disney Plus called Abbott Elementary, and it is a comedy series set in a Philadelphia high school. It's set in a Philadelphia high school. So the whole idea is that you have these teachers and they are trying to work against a system that is underfunded and all that kind of stuff. And this is done very much in the style of The Office. So in the first episode, they let you know that there's a documentary crew that the principal who is entirely incompetent and got her job as the principal through nefarious means, not by being a good teacher at all. So she has gotten this documentary crew to come into the school and follow everybody around, and you're watching what the documentary crew films. But the reason she got them in is not because she wants to showcase the school or anything, it's because she wants to be famous. She's that kind of person. She's always on TikTok, all that. And you get to meet all these different teachers. And you have the really earnest teacher, who is the Janelle Teagues, who is played by Quinta Brunson, who also created the show. And she is pretty much the main character. You have James Tyler Williams, who is from Everybody Hates Chris, if you ever saw that show. And I always find it difficult. Reviewing comedies, and I've said this over and over again, reviewing comedies without just trying to sort of do a bad version of the best jokes in the show. And so what I end up talking about, I just had to, and I think I've decided that for a comedy to work, you need a good cast of characters who play well together. And this show has that, especially I mean, even when they bring the kids in, because obviously they're in the school and they bring the kids in, and we finished watching it last night, and there was one particular line that had us in stitches, had me and my wife in stitches. Like, you know, when you're laughing so hard that you can't actually hear the next couple of lines, I have to stop it and rewind it because it's like we're missing too much. That was too funny a line. And I think that they just keep coming up with these situations with the teachers and the kids and all that kind of stuff, and the school. And I think the character of Ava Coleman, who is the principal, she is played by Janelle James, an actress called Janelle James. And I like, you know, when you see a character and you're like, I would hate to hang around this character in real life. If this was a real person, I would want to be wherever was furthest away from this person. But because it's somebody else's pain and it's not real and it's on TV, I love this character. And I think she is brilliant. She like rules every scene she's in. You know, when someone walks into a scene and you go, all right, this is Ava's scene now. Everything is about her. Even if it isn't about her, this is now her scene. And they use the fact that they have like like, you know, when they have these sort of interview sequences where they go and they get interviewed, a bit like The Office, like they get interviewed talking to the camera. But they use the side eye looks to the camera they use them brilliantly in this show. Like, there's just bits where a character will just come in and the look they'll give will be so that character, so that moment, so that right, and they create this world that you just kind of go, you know what, great. So it won quite a few Emmys last year. It won quite a few Emmys last year. And I think it is deserving of all of them. And I would say go watch it. If you don't like that kind of office style of filming where they film people and it looks like it's supposed to be a mockumentary and there's someone talking to camera, you might not like it. But I think it's really, really funny. I think it's really, really good. I think it has a brilliant cast of characters. And yeah, I would recommend it heartily. I would give it a 4 out of 5.
Cool.
So that is it. And if there's no questions about Abbott Elementary,
No, I think that sounds pretty good.
Cool. I will fire on. And also for people of a certain age who watched Moesha, whatever channel that was on. I think was it Bravo? I think Moesha was on Bravo, either Bravo or Nickelodeon. Yeah, there's an actress who I haven't seen in ages, and she was in Moesha playing Brandy's mom, and seeing her back on screen was like, oh. So, but if you know what I'm talking about, and if you had a similar thing, and if even when I say the words Moesha, you know what I'm talking about, you're my kind of people. You're of a certain age. You're of a certain age when that was one of the only few shows with black people on it on TV. All right, cool. So I think that's it, and all that is left for us to do is to figure out who has won this week.
I think it's probably quite convincingly Netflix, I would think. And the streaming, home viewing.
Yes, it is. It is. But that is not to say that cinema was bad, because cinema did not drop below a 3. So, and like Shaun, as you were saying earlier that you enjoyed your viewing experiences this week. They had really, really good viewing experiences this week. And I don't think anything was bad this week. So all in all, the real winner was us.
It was. It was us.
The power was in us all along. It's Netflix this week, but quite frankly, nothing's bad. Nothing was bad. So, but before we go, Sharon, I have to give you some feedback. And I think you thought I was going to talk about this when I said I had finally finished watching. I finally got to watch. So
yeah, I saw in the week that you'd actually given in.
No. This is not about giving in. It's about being. It's about being true to my word, and finally being true to my word. Maybe it might be like 7 months late, but finally keeping up a promise and watching Persuasion.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to keep mine now, aren't I?
Yes. Sharon, I have started. I am working my way through.
You can do it one go.
Let me just say that I was worried. One of the reasons why it took me so long is I was worried that I might like it when you really, really didn't like it. I should not have worried. I should not have. I should not have worried. I should not have worried whatsoever. I am currently at a scene that infuriates the life out of you. If you can guess what scene I am. It involves a tree. Somebody behind. It involves a tree. Somebody behind a tree, and
don't know the scene you mean.
Yeah, yes. So yes.
That scene. Do you
Yes.
think? Because every time I watched it, I was thinking, you're just sitting in your own wee.
Oh no!
Why are you
Don't.
sitting in your own wee?
I'll tell you what. My plan is to, because I'm watching it like about 20 minutes a day. So so the idea is that by next week I should have finished it. By next week I should have finished it, and then I'll give you my full debrief.
Okay.
But rest be sure I'm making notes as I'm going along, because I'm like, oh my god, no.
No resemblance to Jane Austen.
The-
What are you thinking?
I think in our WhatsApp group, you got my initial thoughts about the opening of the film, but I'm making notes as we're going along. So hopefully by next week I would have finished watching it, and I can give you what?
You'll go.
Oh, Shaun. Okay, Shaun. I think that was Sharon saying that you need to watch it.
I do need to watch it. I was just thinking that. I was thinking, where is it? Where can I watch this?
It's on Netflix.
Okay. I should do that then. I should do that probably tonight. I'll probably give it a go when we finish. Well, I'll make myself a cup of coffee.
I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And I never have to watch it again.
Don't worry.
I should take a photo of watching it, so that
Don't worry, Sharon.
I'll come back. I might. You never know. I might. Enjoy it. You never know. Stranger
Sharon.
things.
All I can say is your misery has company coming in. Your misery has company coming. So I'm not sure if we said this, but we're talking about Persuasion, and if you go into our Netflix or YouTube channel, you can just look for the YouTube channel and look for Persuasion, and look for Persuasion and see Sharon go on a rant about, like, I think it was about a 20-minute rant about this film. It's one of our most viewed videos, and then go watch the film and tell us what you thought. But anyway, until next week, when we shall eventually finish watching Persuasion, and because there doesn't seem to be much in cinema, we'll have more space to talk about it. Again, I can't believe this is like the film we talked about the most in the last year. I can't believe how much we've talked about this film. But yes, it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Yes, well, look, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us if you joined us live, and we'll see you next week. Give us 5 stars. Go ahead. Go to podcasting and just say, yeah, these guys are all right. Give them 5 stars and tell all your friends. But thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.